As the new school year begins,
We have values that we're trying to protect.
our team found that many school districts in Central Texas are facing deficit budgets.
Really, like we're pretty much stuck.
The superintendent's willing to sit down with us, reveal the impossible choices they'll have to make if the state doesn't pass a new funding bill.
My hope is that the kids don't feel it.
And lawmakers lay out their plan for another school funding fight.
Billions of dollars are sitting there.
I'm education reporter Nabil Ramadna.
And I'm KXAN investigator Kelly Wiley. You're watching Texas in the Red.
You have a teacher and you have a teacher assistant in AISD. We're not making $120,000 a year. This is a very challenging community to be an educator in and have be a homeowner and to be able to keep your head above water financially.
You go, mija. Throw it to me.
This is a challenging city to be raising a family of 4 in.
Más alto.
¿Qué quieres que diga?
Teachers in AISD right now don't know exactly how much they're going to be making this year. We don't know if we're going to be getting a raise or not. Not because the school district doesn't want to, but because their hands are pretty tied. They have these expenses.
On July 23rd, 2024, facing a $119 million deficit, the Austin ISD School Board began discussing programs it could potentially cut to balance its budget in the future.
When I was watching it in July, it was very sobering. They had identified areas that could be cut if help doesn't come from the state or from a property tax increase.
Changing librarians to aides could see savings. And then, of course, there are stipends that districts provide.
I can tell you, a lot of those teachers might not stick around if you take away that stipend.
If we were to move away from doing one-way and two-way dual language, there could be some staffing.
Those areas are going to hurt specific schools. They're going to hurt certain populations.
The conversation around budget cuts is one school districts across the state are having after lawmakers failed repeatedly since 2019 to increase the funding per student, the basic allotment.
Our team began tracking how many school districts in Central Texas and beyond were passing budgets where they spent more than they had. Of the 24 Central Texas school districts, which have already adopted its budget for this school year, 18 are in a deficit. School budgets show the shortfalls range anywhere from $374,000 to $119 million.
We found big and rural school districts across the state are digging into their fund balances to give teachers raises and keep up with legally required programs.
If you look at our special education program as a whole, the state underfunds that program by $25 million.
As a former classroom teacher, looking at some of these things, they're devastating.
According to Austin ISD administration, even if voters approve a tax rate increase and the district is able to meet its goal of a multi-million-dollar budget cut, they would still be left with a $41 million deficit.
Hayes ISD is facing a $6 million deficit, and Round Rock ISD, through what it calls surgical but difficult cuts, was able to pass a balanced budget.
There's not much we can do after this year if our state doesn't change the way we fund public school. Really, like we're pretty much stuck.
You can make an adjustment and save $22 million, $19 million, but at what cost? We could produce harm or introduce harm that we just are not, does that align with our values?
If we don't get more money or more funding for the state, we won't be able to give raises, for example, to staff and teachers.
My hope is that the kids don't feel it. I don't think I'm going to be that naive and say that they won't. I'm sure once we start school on Tuesday and as we progress through the year, we'll have to deal with some issues because you either have money or you don't to do certain things, and you want to sustain what you've been doing in the past, but at some point something has to give.
Okay. Once you make a cut in something, if it ever comes back, it sometimes takes years to come back. I don't know how it's going to turn out in the end. I really don't.
In January, lawmakers will have to act on mounting pressure to increase public school funding and on the governor's mission to create a program allowing state dollars to go to private schools. Two priorities that were tied together and both fell short in previous legislative sessions.
Coming up tonight at 10 on KXAN, the leader of the Republican Party's efforts to create education savings accounts and a House Democrat who wants to avoid that program at all costs, both laying out their hopes for public school funding.